Welcome back to Bread and Butter, everybody. We are the Hearthstone podcast where we serve up the basics for your Hearthstone improvement. This week, we have a very special returning guest, Terry. Terry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good myself. Just been a lazy day. Partner's out of town, so I've just been kind of just being a little goblin. Tito, how about yourself?
I wish I was being a little goblin today. It's been a busy, interesting day. My ISP decided they were going to start work on the area. Meanwhile, I was supposed to be busy at work, so that made it difficult. But we got through it. Hopefully, we're all set, and hopefully, we actually have better internet. How about yourself, Doc? What have you been up to besides? What have you been doing outside of Hearthstone besides being a lazy goblin?
So in WoW today, I farmed the Bone White Primal Raptor in Mistband area. For anyone who doesn't know what that requires, is you have to collect 9,999 giant dinosaur bones and then turn them in. And it's basically just this like albino unicorn raptor. And I did it with a buddy of mine today, and it took like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But it was fun, and I've been playing a lot of SWOTAR, the Star Wars MMO.
Mm-hmm.
That is incredibly fun. Every single cutscene and every single quest is voice acted. Like and most quests have at least one cutscene to them. It's just very fun. I know it's old, but I've just been on a huge Star Wars kick recently, and that's everything I've been doing outside of Hearthstone. Terry, how about yourself?
Outside of Hearthstone, not too much. Just took like the weekend off from like Twitch and everything. Spent some time with the family. We're supposed to do a early Mother's Day dinner with my wife on Sunday, but we both got lazy and we just stayed home. So we're going to turn it into a Friday early Mother's Day lunch or dinner.
Nice.
Yes, but outside of that, not too much. Like just taking care of the kid and take care to school and Chinese school, and just being a dad most mainly. Nothing exciting.
Well, you just had a big tournament. Why don't you talk about that? That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we had the Robomid. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. Is it 2 weeks ago now? Yeah, it's been 2 weeks ago. It was a fundraiser for Maritime Max. We raised over $1,200 for her. It was like a 64-person tournament, battleground tournament. There was like people from like all over the world competing. Happened all in one day. It was just a lot of fun in general. And we had a nice little side bet with Hyper Horizon that the HSBG club team came through.
Barely.
We won't mention the members of Team Hyper Horizon because one of them might be here that failed their team. I won't mention names.
No, Tito is me, and I went out the first round. I have not been as invested in battlegrounds as I should have been, but it was all in good fun. And we actually had Peaceful Sea, who went really deep, and I think he lost by like fractions of points. Right? It was pretty close.
It actually ended up being Alex ended up advancing to the final while Peaceful didn't, but it was actually really close for both of them in the very last in the semifinals. Like they both had a very good chance to make it into the finals. Just, I guess, a little bit of bad luck for Peaceful didn't allow him to get there.
Yeah, it was a long day for sure. Especially if you be, I had a nice day, so I had to rush to get home to get into it. But then it was done. You get out first round, you're in, you're out, you're done. So, Terry, what have you been doing inside the world of Hearthstone? You just said you took like the weekend off from streaming, which must be nice and relaxing. But what have you been doing?
Just grinding ladder mainly. Like I was trying to get back on the top 500 before the reset occurred, but then when I took the weekend off, I was still playing on my phone, and probably dropped like 800 MMR because I was like falling asleep while playing, watching TV while playing and stuff. So like, not usually the best for trying to do like high MMR stuff. Also, still just running events at HSPG Club every week. Still running like 4 or 5 tournaments a week on there. Just just a casual gathering like every like Tuesday and Thursday nights. Pretty
That's
fun.
That's why you play on your EU account when you're on your phone.
No, I put in volume, man. I have almost like 8,000 hours played on Battlegrounds, so like I gotta keep that volume number up. Gotta stay number one, at least in volume.
There you go. How about yourself, Doc? What have you been doing inside the game of Hearthstone?
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Mech Paladin. The other day I got Storm Rage's Challenge a Friend quest, I think it's the only time I have ever and will ever beat Storm Rage in a game of standard Hearthstone. Um, he was playing like Outcast Demon Hunter, and I just kind of had the nut draw for Mech Paladin, and it just didn't line up well for him. But it was a lot of fun. Like Daniel's a cool guy, and then I've been also playing a lot of Unholy DK on ladder. That's just it's Unholy DK. It's kind of just easy right now. But I still think it's fun. Like there's still fun little decisions you can make with like the discovers and stuff that are in there, and with like the Naga school teacher. And then while playing BGs today, I ran into Ao, who was a friend of mine from THL. I just loaded into a game of BGs on my phone as I was watching Black Clover this morning, and I just get this pop up from him because I haven't talked to him in like a year. And he's like, "Hey man, good luck." And I was like, "What? Like what's going on?" And so sure enough, he was like 3 players above me in like the player tab, and he did better than I did. I got fifth and he got third, so that was fun. But yeah, just running into people like in the game just by happenstance is cool. Like it's only happened to me 3 times, but it's still pretty cool. Tito, how about yourself?
Yeah, no, I like when I run into people, especially when they just pop in, you don't notice them. The Every once in a while, you don't even notice, and then it's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Good luck. And it's like, oh, I'm playing this person. Great. Um, I've been in Hearthstone. So I forget to talk about my outside of Hearthstone, so I'll do that real quick. I spent the weekend cutting down trees and landscaping, and that was very, very tiring. I normally don't go to bed until around midnight, but I was in bed by like 10 o'clock last night because I was absolutely beat. But we had to get rid of some trees because they're dying and some old, and we're putting up some solar pretty soon. So we're gonna hopefully help the environment there with and my electric bill because that's kind of high right now with the way things go. But it was fun, and it's nice to get some stuff done around the house that you're expecting, even if it's removing things. But in Hearthstone, I have been trying to innovate new decks, and that's gone okay until it doesn't. Me and my community, we started building a unholy death growl deck because there's nothing out there, and of course, people have tried it and they haven't. But I figured, why the heck not? Why can't we do it? And we tried to build it around revelers, and get the revelers to spread their summoning onto other things like Cagehead and the Stoneborn Generals, and it ends up being kind of a swarm deck. It was a lot of fun. We were like 15 and 15 to start, so it felt like maybe we had something there. But then when you start playing at night when all the good players are on, it was a little harder. But we're gonna keep working at that, hopefully. Outside of that, I won my first THL match, so I'm 1-1 so far. That felt really good.
Nice.
Played my first game like absolute butt. Got my ass kicked because I made some really poor decisions from the start. Game 4, I'm like, this is going to be an 0-3. I'm going to embarrass myself. But we won some really, I think, well-played games. And I'm looking forward to this week. I'm playing somebody who, what's their name? Somebody known that I don't know that well. But their name, where is it? Boom, boom. NH Nigel fan, who they're a very good wild player, but they also play this. And when I'm asking how I should prepare, they're like, they're good. They're very, very, very good. So, a little intimidating, but we'll figure it out. But Doc, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get some hungry. How about yourself? You ready for maybe a little main course tonight? Skip the appetizers.
Yeah. So big news, and if I don't know how you wouldn't know this unless you're like living under a rock, but Battlegrounds is getting a giant update with season 4 launching as of recording tomorrow. And it's kind of like a staggered launch with certain tribes being pushed back a couple days, just I would imagine to relieve stress from the servers, probably.
I actually believe they're doing it to not totally overwhelm the competitors that way, because there's over 100 new additions and subtractions. So I think they're doing it in a way that they will, give us an opportunity to learn. I think six are releasing on the first day, and then they're gonna stagger the more releases. one at a time and a couple at a time later on. And that way, when they introduce the new tribe, you already kind of know all, not the new tribe, but the new reimagined tribe, that you will have the other ones already kind of under your belt, and you won't be so overwhelmed that you don't want to play.
I was gonna say that's pretty much why I think they're doing the launch, because like if you're not playing the game like hardcore, like a ton of games every day, you just play like a few games. Like having like 9 new tribes and all, like 56 new minions just get thrown at you, and only see them like maybe like once a day or something is just too overwhelming for a more casual player. So like this way, you'll play your few games, you'll see all the new minions a few times, start get used to it, and then just gradually add some more in. I think that's the plan.
For me, like, I'm not as competitive at BGs as you, Terry.
Yeah.
I would embrace the chaos of just having all this new stuff all at once and just have sensory overload, because it'd be like a kid in a candy shop. Like, there's so many fun things to try. Like, I want to try to do all of it. And I understand that spacing it out lets you do all of it significantly easier. But I don't know. I just kind of like the feeling of being overwhelmed. It'd kind of feel like a standard release. But the first class, or the first tribe, I should say, that we can talk about, beasts.
Okay, so beasts kind of get revamped into like a token tribe in this patch. A lot of like the pure stat builds are all kind of gone. Like they removed Goldrin. Like so, Goldrin Macaw was like one of the popular builds, which just produced like a bunch of big beast stats. That's gone, and they're just replacing it with more things that like summon minions, and will like give more stats to minions being summoned. So it's kind of like forcing just like a different path for beasts as opposed to the old conventional. We'll just get Mama Bear, we'll make some big beasts, and we'll just let them grow through Goldrin. Some new cards that are coming in that are interesting. Banana Slammer, which doubles the stats of beasts, so it's kind of like a second Mama Bear at a lower tier. Macaw's being removed for the first few days because there's some bug on it, in case no one's aware. But that's actually going to be a problem from playing Leapfrogger, because Leapfrogger's still in. Was probably going to be the best beast build, but that's kind of gone. So it's going to be a lot more interesting. It's just going to be more about just summoning random minions and them being big from Mama Bear and this new Banana Slammer creature.
I mean, Banana Slammer doesn't... Am I wrong? It doesn't feel that exciting, because it's when you summon a beast in combat double its stats, but outside of maybe the Sly Raptor, and I guess maybe if you get a big up Blanchy.
Yeah, Blanchy, like maybe just for like Rat Pack summons and just stuff like that. They'll all just be bigger, right? And just summon like bigger minions to give you more tempo through the middle of the game. And if you have something like Mama Bear, then like all of a sudden our Rat Pack is spawning out like 11-11s or 12-12s as opposed to only 6-6s. Right, so it'll add like additional stats for it when it gets combined with Mama Bear or like Pale Scale and other such things. So I think it's kind of interesting during the mid game.
The beasts are worse now, right? Like to me, they feel worse.
Well, they're probably just like very oriented toward Leapfrogger or like Fellstomper, Gas Coiler type games, but I think they're probably going to end up being a little bit better. I think a bunch of the new cards that they were added are better for that, for both tempo early as well as like some end game stuff to help you get to like the end game. So it seems like they're probably a little bit better because like cards that are removed like don't necessarily affect this build, the Frogger build, too much.
You're probably going to get a lot of takes like that for me though, because my favorite build was a Goldrin build, and I would rotate out of probably Leapfrogger for Goldrin when I had the opportunity, just because I liked it that much more, even if it wasn't the right decision. So I probably have a very narrow view of the comps.
I mean, Goldrin was definitely like a super classic build from like day one, so being a fan of that build is not uncommon, I don't think.
I will say the one minion that got introduced that upsets me more than any other minion is Octosari, Rap God, which fantastic name. It's a 6/7. Like, could have made it an 8/8 and just ran with the meme and just had it be kind of a meme. And it's a tier 6. Like, it's not like the 2 more or 3 more in stats would make it like super busted. I don't know. I think they could have ran with the meme of Octasari still being an 8-8.
Yeah, I could see it being an 80. It'd probably be too good as an 80, at least just on its own.
And actually, well, would it be too good? I think you want this to die, right? Like it's. Well, I guess it doesn't matter in battlegrounds. I'm thinking more of standard, but like the whole concept. So Octasari Rap God Death Rattle summon a 2/2 tentacle. It gains +2/+2 permanently after you summon a minion in combat. So this kind of plays into the Banana Slam or Rack Pack. Ghost Caller builds, and every time you summon something, your tentacle just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's a Blizzard joke. I'm surprised they missed last week, but why? I mean, that's kind of the payoff for all this, right? So, how good is this card?
This card right now is probably like pretty mediocre, just because Coiler and Fellstomper are probably better. But like, I think it was just like an 8/8 summon a 2/2. It'd just be like a very good tempo card to initially like triple into. Like, it'd probably be considered a brick because it doesn't really give you a lot of direction if you like just triple into it. Because like the Death Rattle kind of is okay, but like the stats would be like very good for its size. So it's probably like going to be mediocre. But if you build around it, it could get like the Death Rattle could get really out of hand, right? Because like every time you summon a rat, so like say you summon 3 rats, it just gains like the Death Rattle just gains 6/6 permanently. So by the end of the game, like the Death Rattle could be like a 50/50, 60/60 that pops out of this thing. So I think it's still going to be like pretty good in like all beast builds, but just not like that great of one to just triple into. But it could definitely be something like tempo oriented.
And they got rid of cats. The cats are gone.
Yeah, cats are gone. You got replaced by the one drop guy that summons the 2 taunt minions. So this one, I mean, so this one's actually good if you're playing Leapfrogger though, because it summons 2/0/1, so that unlike the sewer rat, you know how normally when you're playing Leapfroggers, you want sewer rats because they can protect your Baron. So this is a little bit better because it summons 0/1s. So if like they haven't been leaped onto yet, they won't just like attack and die. So they're kind of how like sometimes you summon the 2/3 turtle and has no leaps on it and then just attacks and dies. This one there's 0/1, so they can't attack, so they don't waste attacks by just being forced to attack. So it's actually a much better minion for Leapfroggers than the sewer rat would be.
Oh sure, it's just I'm looking at the cats are gone, and that was all that.
Yeah.
So much of the early game economy was like, be so we can get the tokens and sell them, and it's going to be different.
I said a lot of the economy got removed on tier 1, so it's definitely going to be a slightly different game.
All right, anybody else have any final thoughts on Beast before we move on to the next tribe?
Octasari and 8/8. That's my final thoughts.
Hat, you heard him. We have an inside now. Inside, remember, Hat said he's on the inside now for us, so he'll make it happen. All right. So the next tribe is Murlocs, and I guess the most important thing to talk about with Murlocs is the change in Poisonous. So Poisonous used to be, if that minion did damage, it would kill the minion it attacked. Now Venomous is the replacement, and that means the first time it does damage, it will automatically kill that minion, and then that poison goes away. So first off, Dano was vindicated because he had a big argument about this on Squelch over a year ago, the difference between Venomous and Poisonous, so good for him. But what are we thinking about Murlocs?
I'm not go ahead.
I mean, the losing permanent Poisonous like does hurt because you could give everything Poisonous if you had the right build, but they're way more stat oriented now. Like even with like buffing cards in your hand, so that's adding like a different take on stat gain mechanics that haven't been seen too much in BGs, other than adding a card to your hand, something in your board gets buffed. So like that, I think that's super cool, the way that they're kind of transitioning to having your hand matter. So like you actually might want to hold on to a couple cards for a few turns so they can gain more stats before you play them now, instead of just trying to get your stuff out. And then Upbeat, they're the first tribe that we can see with Upbeat Flutist. At the end of every 2 turns, give a random minion in your hand plus 9 health. And then golden, obviously, plus 18 health. I think Upbeat's going to be super fun, and they're just all different kinds of end turn effects for Upbeat. Terry, what do you think about Murlocs?
So I am not a fan of the change in poison. I think poison was fine, and it kind of means you have less comeback mechanics now that you don't have like a steady source of poison. If you kind of fall behind in stats to like another stat build, you have like almost no way of coming back. Like they don't even have like just give a minion venomous anymore. Like they just have the tier 5 guy now or operatic belcher that when it death rattles it gives a friendly Murloc venomous. But it makes it much harder to come back in the game, which is kind of a problem. The change though for like holding minion in your hand is interesting. I think the key to Murlocs is going to be this near tier 4 minion bass skill, where summons your highest health minion from your combat as a death rattle, and with combined with Bream counter, which is while this is in your hand after you play on Murloc, gain +3/+2. So like, you just kind of want to have bass skill on board with like multiple Bream counters or like a golden Bream counter, and you just stat up the one in your hand as opposed to standing up one on board, and just always keep Bream counter in your hand for like the rest of the game, and just keep statting it up like by playing any Murloc you find. Also, a new change is that Young Murkai now targets any battle cry, as opposed to only Murloc ones that I did before, which is a pretty big change in that like you could do things like, give something taunt or do something, like just do like all sorts of things with all the other new battle cries that were put into the game. So that's like a pretty big change too. The Young Murkai targeting any minion. Yeah, but most of it's going to be more about holding minions in your hand, I think, than standing up your board as much as possible.
Because a lot of times you don't. I mean, you sell the minions to try to cycle and cycle them through and all that a lot, right? So now you don't. You want to hold on to almost probably a full hand, especially with the new 6 mana, the Coral McGurgle. Start of combat, gain the stats of all the minions in your hand. Now, that's not a permanent though, right? So they're always going to start a 6/6 and then they gain it whatever you have in your hand.
Yeah, it's always going to start as a 6/6 and then put the stats in your hand, but also works well with Bream counter again. So like I think Bream counter and Bass skill are probably going to be the 2 most important early game minions from what it looks like.
Any other thoughts on Murlocs here? I like the upbeat. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's hard to judge a whole new concept. This is an entirely different class than it used to be.
Yeah, I don't really like it. I'm used to the old way of playing Murlocs. That like it gave you a chance to like have good scaling for the late game as well as the ability to set up poisons so you can like come back or tech pieces in at the end of the game, and now those options are a little more limited in what you can do. Like if you kind of fall behind.
You think this is more skill testing?
Probably a little. It's kind of hard to say. So it could be a little more skill testing in that like you kind of have to set things up a little more, but like it's a little less skill testing in that it doesn't give you as many endgame options to tech into things, which is kind of important. It's more skill testing for like the mid game on how to like balance what to keep on board, what to keep in your hand, and that sort of stuff. But I think a little less for end game. I think end game is like where most people tend to struggle because that's like the hardest part of the game.
That's fair. Any other final thoughts on Murlocs before we move on to the next tribe?
Not for me.
No, I'm good.
All right, Doc, what's next?
So the next tribe is dragons. So I can't remember what dragons lost, but their first upbeat card is Upbeat Front Drake, who's this little black Drake that is playing a 6-string guitar that just looks super awesome. It's like a very metal dragon. At the end of every 3 turns, get another random dragon. And it says random. It doesn't say of your tavern tier.
No, it should be all the random effects are your tavern tier or lower. So
okay, so you think it was just a text size issue?
They always just say random, but it's always implied. Your tavern tier or lower. They had it broken before if you don't remember when Genie first came out and it was tier 5, and it would just start spouting off tier 6 elementals back then, and it was extremely broken, and ever since then, random just means you're a tier or lower.
Okay, I didn't realize that about BGs.
Yeah.
Then the next new dragon, Stormbringer, after a different friendly dragon attacks, this also gains it, or after a friendly dragon gains attack, this also gains it. It's a 1/7 tier 4. That can be pretty good, but they got rid of I want to say Twilight Drake, but it wasn't Twilight Drake. It was the 1/3 that gave every dragon one attack at the end of your turn.
Oh, Nether Drake.
Yes.
Yes, that got removed. The 2 tier 1 dragons got removed. Chroma Wing and the Red Wolf both got removed.
Oh wow. Yeah.
One was replaced with Upfront Drake. Razor Gore got removed as a tier 5. I'm trying to remember what else got removed. I think that's it. Oh, Nether Drake and
it feels like a lot of this is they're really trying to play more into the Terragosa type promo Drake type plays, where it's just Terragosa and now Stormbringer kind of continually to grow bigger as your game goes along.
So they're definitely playing a little more to that in the early game. A big change they made was the Caligos, and is whenever you trigger a battle cry now instead of whenever you play a battle cry. So if you have like Brand with Caligos and you play a battle cry and triggers twice, all your dragons go up by +2/+2, which is a very big change. It makes it like a lot better when you can combine it with Brand. And they also introduced a bunch of these new tier 5 dragons, one of which can like discover a battle cry minion or trigger a friendly minion's battle cry, as well as like give you other dragons +4 attack. So I think a lot of the dragons are going to be like very attack heavy and less health heavy because of all this. Like the only thing that actually gives health now is Wolf Smuggler, and the tier 5 one, the start of combat, give you other dragons +4 health. Everything else is all going to be like attack. So they're going to be like glass cannon-y, I think, from the looks of it. I'm not sure if there's anything else that gives health, but yeah, seems like everything gives it.
Nadine is going to be much more important now, I think, because you're just not going to have that big butt.
Yeah. Or maybe Wolf Smuggler just becomes like more important for the build or whatever, just because it's the only thing that gives health. For everything else is very attack oriented, which seems strange from dragons, but I guess that's the new direction.
Do you like it?
It's okay. I like the Caligos change. I think that was necessary because Caligos just wasn't strong enough on its own prior to this. Like tripling before, like when dragons first came out, tripling into Caligos was like, oh, this is incredible scaling. But now with all the other power creepers occurred, like tripling the Caligos now, you're like, fuck, Caligos. Yeah. I guess I have to take it because there's no other option, but like, you're not happy. And now it's like, it's kind of in between. You're like, okay, it's decent. If I find like a brand on tier 5, I can make my dragons grow pretty quickly. So, it's a little more ideal than it was in the past, I think.
So are we bullish, or do we think that dragons are better or worse than they used to be?
I mean, they couldn't really get worse, so I technically have to say they got even better because they had like no real scaling or anything. Then their main source of scaling, Caligos, was like so bad prior, so I guess they have to say they're better. Hopefully, I guess we'll see how it pans out, but it looks like they have to be a little bit better.
All right. Anybody have any final thoughts on dragons as we continue along with Bread and Butter, the Crosstalk edition?
Rip at Redwell.
Yeah, or Redwell. We hardly knew you.
Yeah.
Except you're from the first iteration of the game. Besides that.
Yeah, it seemed like Redwell was time to go. It didn't feel like it was a solid investment anymore. The way the scaling has gone.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely didn't scale as well, but it was definitely like a meme-worthy build before, where everyone loved to do like Ysera and like 6 golden red whelps and all that sort of stuff back in the day. It was like a fan favorite back in the day, but no more. The memes are gone.
Well, anyway, surprise! The next tribe is elementals. What do we think about the changes here?
Not much in the way of changes here. Well, the major changes here: no more Little Rag, no more Master of Realities, the new element, and no more. Oh god, what's the name of it? The Avenged. I can't remember what his name is.
Oh, refreshing light spawn.
No, yeah,
Something.
Dazzling Light Spawn. Dazzling Light Spawn.
There we go.
Yeah, that guy's gone. They replaced the Dazzling Light Spawn with this Dancing Barnstormer, Tier 4 Death Rattle. Elementals in Bob's Tavern have +2/+2 for the rest of the game. They're pretty similar, so I don't think there's like any major loss there. But Little Rag is gone. Also, Lieutenant Gar is gone too. So like the huge, massively statted Gars that we knew of the days past is gone. They got replaced by this Gusting Trumpeteer, which looks pretty bad. After you sell 6 elementals, get another random elemental, which seems pretty awful.
Especially since Genie's gone now too, so you don't have a taunt that gives you a free elemental anymore.
Yeah. There's another tier 6 Rock. After you play an elemental, give your minions +1 attack, swaps the health next turn. That guy doesn't seem that amazing, and I'm not sure how this elemental surprise work. It says Divine Shield. This minion could triple any elemental. When we first saw this, we're speculating that like when you triple this with like say a Wildfire Emissary, like you have a Wildfire as a second Wildfire in shop and you have this on board, that it would give it Divine Shield. Like you'd have like Divine Shield Golden Wildfire. But that seems really, really strong. So I'm not sure if that's what they mean, or it just means like you could triple this with like act as a pair with your Wildfire, take a Golden Wildfire and just act as a regular Wildfire. That's 8/8. But I guess that's something we'll have to see what comes out.
Yeah, we'll have to test.
Yeah, because if you get like, if all of a sudden the elemental endgame boards come with massive, divine shielded elementals for everybody, that's going to be much harder to combat during the endgame.
Yeah, and Gusty Trumpeter, it's a tier 5 minion. If that was like a tier 2 or tier 3 minion, that might not be as bad, but waiting to tier 5 and then you're not even, outside of Magma Lock, you're not even really as encouraged to cycle as you were before, it looks like. So, but they kept Elemental, they kept Anomaly, so I mean they didn't quite change the early game as much as they did with some of the other classes, but Nomi's still there. So what do we think? Are we did elementals get better or did they get worse?
I definitely think they got worse.
Yeah.
So like I think with Gusty Trumpeter, I think their thought process is that if you already have Nomi, this is a good minion to have on your board to help give you more elemental cycle. Except the problem is you want to get Nomi on tier 4, and then you want to kind of build up your Nomi count on tier 4, and then by the time you either triple into this, it's going to be like so small, it's never staying on your board, or and you're never going to be able to go up to tier 5 and get this as like a big minion, which would keep on your board for a while. So that's why I think it's just an overall bad minion. It's probably going to be like moved down a tier or like statted up a lot.
Do we know what the triple is for Gusty? Is it after you sell 3 elementals, or did that change?
It's probably 6 get 2.
Yeah, it's probably 6 get 2 is what I would assume.
It would be nice if it cut it in half and it was 3, but
yeah, but I think also tripling it's going to be pretty tough because it's just such a piece of junk that's on your board for too long.
Some pretty cool looking cards. Do we have any other thoughts on elementals?
No, I think that's going to be pretty bad.
All right.
Nice and simple. It's a simple description.
What's next, Doc?
So the next tribe we have is Naga. Terry, how do you feel about the Naga changes?
Okay, so there wasn't that many Naga changes. A big change is no more spellcrafts on tier 3. So Shoal Commander was removed, which is kind of a big one. They did, however, move Eventide Brute down to 3, but having like no spellcrafts on tier 3 is definitely going to be very strange. The new tier 2 guys, Reef Riffer, spellcraft give a minion stats equal to your Tavern tier until end of turn, seems pretty decent. And they increased the health you get Deep Sea Angler. but I think there's just less spellcrafts in general. A new minion that got added though, the Silent Swimmer. Tier 4 spellcraft, give a minion +3/+5 in stealth until next turn is probably going to be a giant pain in the ass and probably way too strong. Like it's essentially like a 4-drop 8/8 minion with stealth if you triple into it or just grab it early, which is obviously like huge stats for the tier. And like be able to give stuff like your Titus stealth or something like that, like something important like your Myrmidon stealth and give it extra stats or something like that. I think it's going to be like a very, very, very good card, which I think is going to be a problem card probably in the future. This card seems like way too good in general.
One thing they did change too that's going to affect Naga as well is they made a change to Queen Azshara, right? So it's no longer your first spell cast or your first spell cast. It's now your the spell.
Like Lady Vash.
Lady Vash.
Lady Vash. But yeah, that's also a big change. I don't know why they did that to her. She wasn't like that amazing prior to like before the rounds of buddies came out, and she became a lot better once Greta was put in. But now that Greta's gone, like she's probably going to be back to being mediocre again, and now they just made her significantly worse. So I don't know. Like, I think she's going to be probably like a pretty bad hero going forward. I think they're worried about having Deep Blue Crooner with her. Deep Blue Crooner is spellcraft, give a minion +1/+1 until next game. Improve your future Deep Blues. So I think they just kept like having one on board, and the stat increase would just keep increasing every turn. I think they're worried about that, but I think like this is a minor problem compared to how bad the hero nerf was.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think they'd want to have that's exactly got to be it, because you don't want to give a minion +1/+1 and then +2/+2 and have it just stick. So I can see why they did that. Really, not a lot of changes though, huh?
No, not really, man. Troll Commander going is kind of bad. Kind of sucks for them because it was like really good for Lady Vash as well as Queen Azshara because it gives them a lot of tempo. Well, I think maybe moving Brute down might help them a little. But yeah, it's kind of weird that it's not going to be here. But I guess it kind of got replaced by Deep Blue Crooner.
Well, I think one thing we should mention is the new mana, the Zesty Shaker, because that seems like that's a good opportunity to triple into higher things. It's once per turn after you cast a spellcraft spell on this, add a new copy to your hand. So is that kind of a potential line to take where you keep making triples off of this guy?
No, it doesn't give you a new copy of Zesty Shaker. It gives you a new copy of the spellcraft. So essentially, you get to spellcraft twice for the first one you cast on turn.
Well, then never mind.
Right,
That's way less exciting.
Yeah, so this guy's okay. It's like a little better than Lava Lurker, I guess, because it doesn't stick, but allows you to trigger like a Thistla or Brute twice. But yeah, it gives you a second copy of the spellcraft, not the minion.
I liked my idea better.
Your idea is too broken, though. That's the problem.
Absolutely. That's why I'm not on the design team. Do we have any other final thoughts on Naga before we move on to the next tribe?
No, seems good.
What do you think? Better or worse?
Probably a little bit worse, I would think.
All right.
But like I think just Silent Swimmer is the only new addition that's really good. The rest I think, makes the tribe a little bit worse. So probably just like a little bit worse. But not very many changes, though.
No, I mean it's one of the newer tribes, so they probably didn't really feel like they had to reinvent it. It's only been around a year, so
yeah,
I guess. But Doc, what is our next tribe?
Yeah, so our next tribe is Undead. Undead got a couple of changes. They got Incorporeal Corporal. Tier 1, 5/5. After this minion attacks, destroy it. Like, I know it's a lot of stats for Tier 1, but you have this for like 2 or 3 turns. And then you just don't really hope you don't roll into it anymore, is what I think about it. But the card I am the most excited about is Xylobones, which is the 4-tier 5/1. After you summon a minion in combat, gain 3 health permanently. I really like the art on this one. It's 3 skeletons using their rib cages as xylophones. It's really good.
Yeah, that card is gonna be very good. Xylophones, I think it's gonna be like a battle master that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which makes it like a really good card. I think the best new card for Undead is Radio Star though. This card is ridiculous. This card shouldn't be printed. It's a tier 3 3/1 Death Rattle add playing copy of the minion that killed this to your hand. This is the replacement for the Warden of Old, I think is what it was.
Yep.
The 3/3 guy that when it dies you get 1 gold. And this card is ridiculous. You'll be able to get like minions that are like way higher tier randomly. Just like this card is just gonna be like super efficient. It'll like always die. If you have like Baron, you'll get like pairs, or Titus, you get like Goldens and stuff. This card, I think, it just like should at least be a tier 4. This card, like at tier 3, will be like the best tier 3 card for like any tribe probably. That's how good this card is going to be. And yeah, definitely should have been printed. I think outside of that, there's no major changes to Undead. The Possessive Banshee was removed. The 4-drop give +2/+7 was removed, which is probably good because that was like the biggest stat buff minion that was available. What else was removed? Oh, and the tier 1/1/4 null was removed, which I think was probably like too good for the early turns. It was like it would always end up trading with minions that are like way higher tier, just because the attack kept going up so much. So it was like a good minion like keep on your board for quite a few turns. Attack leaving is probably good for the game in general, just not having tier 1 minions consistently trading with like tier 4 minions, just because like of its ability. The rest are pretty much unchanged. They have like a near tier 4 Undead Murloc Venomous as well, but that one was also talked about earlier. I don't think there's anything else that's changed. Like this is like the newest tribe, so I don't expect them to have changed it.
Yeah, we weren't expecting much to change here. But do we get better or worse?
I think slightly better, just because Radio Star is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I like losing Banshee is okay. Xylobones is good, so I think it's a fair trade-off.
Yes. Do we have any other final thoughts on Undead before we move on to the next tribe?
No, sir, not for me.
Not for me.
All right, better or worse, Terry? Better, you said? I think I might have asked you that already.
I think a little bit, yeah, better just because the Radio Star is so good.
Yeah, and I just asked that like 10 seconds ago. Sorry, it's been a long day, fellas.
Yeah.
Sorry
No
about
worries.
that.
You're good, my guy.
What's the next tribe?
Yeah, so it's Pirates, which I feel like Pirates got nuked. Because like Hogger's gone, Greta's gone. So like being able to super high APM Pirates with just stupid nonsense is gone. But they did get South Sea Busker, which Battlecry gain 1 gold next turn, which is
It's the same thing.
They get a coin.
pretty much. It's not a coin. It's just 1 additional gold. You don't get a coin to your hand. That's a very big difference.
That is a big difference.
Because
that is.
Yeah. But so Pirates actually are like they got like Rip Hogger, but like they're actually still okay. I think they're not as bad as I initially thought. One, they got a cleave in Blade Collector, like it's a tier 4/3/2, also damages the minions next to whoever this attacks. They got a lot. They're going to be more glass cannony, kind of like how they were when they first came out, where a lot of their minions would have like very high attack, but like not much health. Like Bloodsail Cannoneer is returning, the tier 3 battle cry, gave your other pirates +3 attack. Rip Snarl got moved to tier 2. Whenever a friendly pirate attacks, it only gives +3 attack as opposed to +3/+3. Let's see what else. Vanessa got reverted back to a 3/7 again, which makes it significantly better than the 3/4 she was. The Hogger replacement, Wrecker Smuggler, at the start of your turn, gain 1 gold, repeat for each friendly pirate. Like, this is okay. It's not obviously not going to be as good as Hogger, but I think it's actually probably a little better the first few turns you triple into it. Like you'll probably have if you have like a couple pirates on board, it just gives you like 4 extra gold, not force you to try to roll to find other pirates or something, and gives you like good tempo, so you can like level and buy minions as well. So this is probably a little better for when you initially triple into it. Which Hogger, like, well, it was everyone's like dream. I want to go get like 4 Hoggers and just have like infinite money. This could help get you to like turns where you have like 20 gold. You have 2 of these or like a golden one on board, and just like a bunch of pirates, and also you got like 14 extra gold on your turn. No more Eliza kind of sucks. You don't have that tempo anymore. But like the ones that are added all tend to give you economy. Like they added the tier 5 upbeat pirate, and then every 2 turns make a random pirate in your hand golden. This card seems like it could be pretty good. The tier 6, after you spend 8 gold, get another random pirate. Also, like gives you a little extra economy. So like the stats on these pirate, the upbeat impressionist and the fleet admiral tethers will probably need to be changed because they're probably a little too weak initially. Well, I think like they're not nerfed as bad as everyone thinks. They're just like different. Like it's gonna be a lot more about like getting high attack. Like strong arm was the big one that got removed as well. So there's like no easy way to buff like the Cleave's attack. I mean health. Well, there's definitely lots of ways to buff its attack. So it's gonna be a very glass cannony Cleave as opposed to like one that just has like big stats in general, which is kind of better for the game, I think. Also kind of weird for pirates to have a Cleave, but what do I know? I'm just a random guy that addicted to the game.
Well, the one thing that I find weird is the upbeat impressionist, because maybe it's okay, but it's the only card for pirates that seem to encourage you to hold a card in your hand, as opposed to like the other classes, which really kind of synergize with this. And this one, it's just hold one pirate in your hand. You get the get it golden later. So yeah, sure, it might be okay, but it doesn't have a theme around. It's not like a consistency where it's like I hold this guy, it buffs this guy, it does this. It's just the one effect. Is that really enough for that?
So there is the underhanded dealer. Granted, it's not specifically worded as a hold a card in your hand effect, but after you gain gold, gain +1/+1. So that is a stat reason to incentivize holding a card in your hand to sell. Like,
Also, a big thing is though, upbeat impressionist makes it a golden, which is a huge difference. Like one, you get to get a discover off of it, as well as like just getting the bonus golden effect of whatever it is that you're holding in hand. I think like it's going to be a very strong card, very similar to what Nosy. I think Nosy Looter, what it was, the tier 6 that was around before. But it's a little slow, and if you get around it being a little slow, and figure out ways to like make it faster, like the neutral we'll get into later that triggers your end of turn effect twice. I think this card will be very good.
Yeah, maybe. I just see it as like I gotta hold on to this card, but I really need to play it because I need to get Vanessa out there, and you want to hold it, and I don't know. It just
it probably won't be for cards like Vanessa that you held in your hand. It'll probably be for stuff like I'm holding like a South Sea Busker or
a gambler,
a free dealing gambler or something in my hand for like a couple of turns, and then goldening it, getting like an extra 6 drop off of it, getting your 3 extra gold out of it or 2 extra gold depending on what it is, and going from there.
All right, so are pirates better or worse now?
Definitely worse, but also just different. I think. Like I think they're still okay. Everyone thinks they're nerfed totally to the ground. I think they'll still be decent. They just won't be like as fun as they used to be.
It's fair. I mean, Hogger games are the most fun games. That
they are.
They're
also the most stressful. I know when talking to people or when I'm coaching people and I get them into Hogger, they're all just like, oh no, panic time. I got so much gold, I don't know what to do. But those are the games that are fun because it's not just like the same thing over and over again.
That's fair. So any final thoughts on the state of pirate before we move on?
Nope, I'm good.
Doc?
Yeah, I'm good too.
All right, what's next?
Yeah, so next tribe, I should say, is demons. I can't remember his name, but a noticeable removal is the demon that would give your hero immune.
Oh, Cathanantir, or Cathy, as most people called it.
Yeah, so he's gone now, so you can't negate the like Wrathweaver, and you also can't negate Malazar, Prince of Dance, which I'm glad he's back because we haven't seen him since Karazhan. Which he's a tier 3, 5/2, 2 refreshes each turn, cost health instead of gold.
So they actually changed. There's a tier 2 card called Soul Rewinder. It essentially works the same way as Cathy used to work. It says the tier 2 3/1. After your hero takes damage, rewind it and give this +1 health.
So does that get rid of it for an instance?
Yeah, so like essentially, like if you play a minion for Wrathweaver, Wrathweaver gets buffed, you take a damage, this rewinds it, so you gain the point of health back, and this gets bigger. So this is like, Soul Rewinder is like the key to demons now. Because a lot of the demon cards are all about spending health, or like taking damage, and this is the way for the damage prevention. So yeah, that's the biggest change to demons, is this card here, is to the Cathanant here.
So it's going to get a big butt real fast. Probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to get a big butt real fast. Well, it depends if you have stuff that procs it, right? There's a lot of cards that deal damage now. But yeah, most of it's like pretty... Like, demons seem like they'll be pretty good. You have like a lot of early game stuff. If you get this Soul Rewinder early, it allows you to do like stuff, like more broken stuff with both Wrathweaver, which got a little bit of a nerf, buying stuff like Leeching Fellhorn for free, the Malachizer for like the free rerolls. There's another one, tier 5 one.
Tichondrius.
Imposing Percussionist. Battlecry, discover a demon, deal damage to your hero equals to its tier. I mean, there's lots of things that deal damage to your face now. Right? That's gonna be all negated by Soul Rewinder. So this is probably the... Oh, there's also the tier 2 backstage security to start your turn, deal 1 damage to your hero. That this also negates. Like, there's all sorts of stuff like that. That's gonna be good. Like, I think a broken thing for demons will be having Malachizer with Elise and Firework Fanatic. Getting like your free rerolls every turn, it all get rewinded. Like if you have like a golden one, I think you get like 4 refreshes or something. Return for free and stuff. I think just like stuff like that is going to end up being broken, but we shall find out when the patch officially drops. And that's why I guess late demons will be pretty solid overall.
I think Firework Fanatic is also one of those ones that's been disabled until they fix something.
It is. Yeah, they said it might not be back for a while, but that was the original thought on Demon was Rewinder, Malachizer, and then Fanatic and Elise sort of stuff. But I don't know, we'll see. Like, it probably gets a little worse because that's gone, but I think Demons in general are going to be pretty good with the damage prevention.
A lot of the consume stuff did a lot of consume. We still have the Picky Eater and the Fellbat, but I mean, I guess we have.
And Mind Muck still. Oh, Fellbat got nerfed too. So Fellbat doesn't consume a minion himself. It's other demons now, which is a pretty big nerf on Fellbat, in case you're unaware.
Yeah, definitely, because then it doesn't scale. Then you have a 9/5 out there.
Yeah. Well, Fellbat will still be good, but it's not nearly as good as it was previously. And you can't just have a pair of Fellbats eating 4 minions a turn and just being
it's fair.
A huge scaling on its own.
Right. Any other? So are we better or worse now with demons?
I think we're better. Demons weren't that great before. The Fellbat nerf sucks, but I think in general, demons are better through all stages of the game. Oh, also Battlemaster got moved to tier 4. It was only 3 attack, back to his old ways. That's also a pretty big change.
He used to be a 6 at first, wasn't he? Or was he always a 5?
He was always a 5. He used to be at this 3 attack plus 1 health for each health when we're still at 40 health. They got changed to a 5/1 with 1 health and a 5/1 with 2 health, and now back to 3/1 with plus 2 health. We'll see how much of a change that is.
Right. Any final thoughts on demons?
No, it should be better though, should be fun. Having more tribes being... Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. My bad, Terry.
I was going to say, having more tribes that are viable is always good for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. When you, because it always stinks when you kind of Bob kind of forces you in a direction, and you're like, I don't really want to take this because you don't want to play the Quillbowers or whatever like that. But yeah, no, it's good. Doc, what's next?
Yeah, so we have the Quill Boar. Yeah, Quill Boar next.
Bristlebach. Bristlebach is the greatest name. I love that. That's just such a great flavor. And he seems pretty strong.
Yeah, the Bristol block is actually decent. So Elder is gone. Elder was junk beforehand. No one liked to triple into Elder because he was terrible. So we're happy he's gone. Ground Shaker got removed. I think that was one of the cards that made playing straight Quill Boars viable. It being gone kind of sucks for the tribe. Now it's literally only about putting more blood gems on your tribe, on your minions. So it kind of sucks a little. A few of the new Quill Boars are interesting. The tier 3, for the rest of the game, your blood gems give an extra +1 health. The battle cry is a battle cry. That seems pretty interesting. There's a tier 4, for the rest of the game, your blood gems give an extra +1 attack, which seems. There's a death rattle that seems pretty interesting. Those are like the major changes. There's something else that went away. I can't remember.
Agamagan's gone.
Oh yeah, Agamagam is gone too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So they got replaced by Bongo Bopper. End of your turn, play Blood Gem and play 2 more on this. Agamagam wasn't very good anyway, so I don't think like its loss is going to be too bad. I think like Quill Boar relatively not changed that much. It seems like more stat scaling is probably gonna be more relevant. Lack of true poisonous as opposed to venomous is gonna be nice for Quill Boars because they could generate a lot of stats. The only thing that sucks is no Ground Shaker anymore, which was like good for straight Quill Boar builds as a because there's not a lot that provides stats on all of them. No, because like there's nothing that like if you spend a gem on similar to Agam to give like just stats until like end of the turn for them. A good way to just like dump your gems on one minion. I think that you have to like manually spread stats to all of your guys, which is a little crappier for quills in general. I think the tribe will still be very good.
All right, so we think better or worse here?
I think a little better. Mostly because of changes to other tribes. Honestly, the changes to this one.
All right, I can dig it. No Gem Splitter return, though. I was kind of hoping we'd see that one come back.
I don't think Gem Splitter is ever coming back. It's too powerful of a card.
Yeah, I don't know. Quill Boar is just, I mean, they were super powerful right out the gate, but, like, I never want to play into Quill Boar, so I wonder if that'll change. I always try to steer away from it as soon as I see it coming.
Oh, I love playing Quill Boar. Like, Prophet of the Boar, I think, is a card that since they made the change of it, that generates a gem for every Quill Boar you play as opposed to only one a turn, was a huge change to them. It allows you to, like 1 or 2 Prophets, you can generate, like, 4 or 5 gems a turn. If you have stuff like Agam or Ground Shaker, allows you to just like use your gems like very wisely to like provide stats to your whole board. So I think like Prophet was like a super underrated card prior to like this card was better at producing gems than Elder was. And it's like a tier 2. Right? So like Elder you would probably generate like 2 gems per turn per minion onto whatever your key minion was, and this one could generate like 4 or 5 gems a turn. It was like really, really good. The main reason I like playing Quill Boars, so I thought this was undervalued. Same with stuff like Agam and Ground Shaker in this current patch.
And didn't Thorncaller used to be Battle Cry and Death Rattle gain a blood gem?
Oh yes, it was. It got moved to tier 2, and now it's only Death Rattle gain a blood gem.
Okay.
It also got its stats reduced. That was like a small change. Well, I guess it's a pretty big change, but yeah, it's like a change that I don't think is going to be like a huge difference maker. Because they added the other guy on tier 3, the one that gives your gems +1 extra, +1 health every turn.
All right, fair. I mean, I still think Bristlebach is probably my favorite. I don't think it's going to be my favorite card to play, but I just love the theming on it. Any other thoughts on Quill Boar?
Nope.
All right. Doc, what's next?
Yeah, so next we have mechs. And it kind of looks like mechs are going to be mostly about magnetizing to other mechs this go around. I think it looks fun. So the big one would be tier 6 polarizing beatboxer. Whenever you magnetize another minion, it also magnetizes to this. That one is like the tier 6 you want to shoot for, but then also the tier 5 at the end of your turn, give your minions +1/+1 for each magnetization that they have. And there's like at least one magnetic almost per every tier now. So if you're going mechs, like the likelihood you find a magnetic is pretty decent now. Terry, what do you think?
Mechs look super good this patch. Like the early magnetic cards that were added are all like super strong. Like the tier 2 magnetic at the end of your turn being +1/+1 provides like a nice little bit of scaling. The tier 3/1 magnetic 2/3 minion start of your turn gain extra gold. This card is like super good. The tier 4 avenge get a random magnetic mech is also seen super good. Like mechs in general seem to have gotten a massive buff in this patch. Like all these magnetics and magnetic type cards that they've added are going to be like huge value throughout the course of a game, either by giving gold, extra stats, getting like more magnetics in hand, giving like more stats from the utility drone, be able to magnetize multiple times. Like you're going to see a ton of deflectos with like 5 magnetics on it, or just like divine shields with like a ton of magnetics on it. And next, I think I'm going to go out of control this meta. Everything seems so good. Like it's not going to miss the cards that went out. Grease Block going out doesn't really matter that much. Cyborg Drake going out provided good tempo, but doesn't really matter that much. Mech roll is going to hurt a little, but I think not going to be like aggressively leveling for mech roll anymore. I think just all these other cards though are just so damn good that like playing mechs is going to be like what a lot of people will be forcing, just because it's going to be relatively easy to obtain all the good cards because they're all like low tiers, and I don't know, all the effects are so good. I just like drooling thinking about mechs now.
And I think it's important to note they did make a change to magnetic where you can now magnetize if you have a full board.
Yes, that change is very important too. It's quite nice. It's a very good quality of life change that they did there.
See, I'm surprised. I thought veteran like yourself would be like, but back in my day, we had to manage our minions and make sure that we had the space so we could magnetize, and we had to play around it. No, not a thing.
No, it's nice because like even if you get like a little bit board locked by mechs, you can still magnetize, which is a very nice addition to the game. I think like it was needed. Yeah, it's kind of something that I kind of wish they always had from the beginning. And it's a pretty good quality of life change for everybody in general, from new player to old veteran like me, to be able to have this change in and not have to worry about it as much.
That's fair. Any other final thoughts on mechs from anybody before we move on?
I think mechs are good. I think this iteration of mechs is going to be stronger than some people would like.
Yeah, people are probably going to get very annoyed with it, but you know what? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. It definitely seems like. I think the interesting thing will be if one of the problems I have playing battlegrounds is knowing when to kind of cycle out of a minion, even if it's good, to kind of advance towards the late game. Like I'll hold on to cards longer than I should on my warband, and I feel like that's going to be problematic here on some level, where you just you get a minion that scales kind of okay, and then you don't get out of it in time, and then you lose because you don't scale as well. But I'm more thinking of myself than the average player, I think. All right, Doc, what's next?
So next is all the neutral minions.
Right.
Terry, what do you think about the neutrals?
So a few major things that got changed. Ball of minions gets removed. It gets replaced by mistake. Pretty big change. Ball of Mania is like a very important card in this current buddy meta that we've been in. And that just like everyone was just like making big static balls, goldening it, and then selling it off to put like stats everywhere on their board. So having a mistake come in is kind of nice that they have like a tier one that's easily accessible, that just like on every tribe, and it's not like as broken as ball is. It only being a 1/3 is kind of nice. Like when the faceless amalgam, I think it was called mindless amalgam, whatever it was, the 3/4. When that came out, like initially in like way like beginning days of battlegrounds, it was like way too powerful. When it came back again, it became way too powerful because of its interaction with module and poison. I think it's kind of like a good middle ground. It's like the stats are pretty crappy initially, but if you want to invest like a bunch into it long term, it could be like a very good minion for you. Another change is tier 4 upbeat duo. This is like the card that broke Firework Fanatic during the playtesting. Choose a minion at the end of every 2 turns. This gives you a playing copy of it. 2 turns left. So this would just continually repeat until you keep getting more and more copies, and it will combine with Firework Fanatic to really like skew the meta during the playtesting. So Firework Fanatic just took it in the chin for this card and got removed from the pool. I think this card is going to be really good just because gaining extra copies of economy in your hand is pretty solid. Another new addition is Drakari Enchanter. It triggers your end of turn effects twice. This is going to be the card, if you're playing a lot of upbeat cards, this is going to be the card to go after. It is essentially the rag buddy with much worse stats and going to proc all your upbeat stuff like way faster. This is a card that's probably going to be pretty good in some builds and probably just be like a total brick in other builds. Like another tier 5, you triple into it earlier, you're just like, why does Bob hate me so and keep moving this crap early on? The T-Man replacement Boogie Monster is also an interesting card. So I think this card, as like the first card you triple into in 6, it will be okay, but multiples of them will be very awkward in that like one of them will be on tier 1. Let me see what the card does first. After you play a tier 1 minion, progress to the next tier and give your minions +1/+2. So essentially when you play a tier 1, all your minions get +1/+2, then you have to play a tier 2 to get the next proc. So if you get multiples of them, they won't be on the same tier. So it'll be hard to coordinate. It'll take turns to coordinate them, to get them onto the same tier before you can really get the buffing going, like of both Boogie Monsters together. So it's gonna suck if you get multiples. It's gonna be very good to initially triple into. You kind of like buff your board, allow you to stabilize, but like getting multiples is gonna be awkward, and then you need to find like to get out of it to find like either better scaling or find like a triple. It's gonna be very awkward to manage.
Do we know if it resets after you get to tier 6?
Yes, I assume it resets after you get to tier 6. It goes 1 to 6, 1 to 6.
I would hope so.
No, I believe it stays at 6, if I recall what I heard.
Really? It stays at 6? That seems even worse. It seems bad now, but it seems even worse if that stays at 6. Because you think it progresses to the next tier, but if it stays at 6, it's going to be even worse. Well, I guess we'll find out when it goes live. I thought it would just regress back to 1.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Either
way, I don't think it's gonna be good.
I mean, I have secondhand sources, but I asked about this, and I was told it stayed at 6. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, someone will find out. Probably won't be me because I think the card sucks. I'd be like, "Have you played Boogie Monster yet? Does it suck?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, it sucks." I'm like, "Okay."
Well,
confirmed.
Meta Breaker confirmed. So Theo's gone. That's sad. Yeah.
I mean, Theo was like the best card in the format for this whole time, so it's kind of good that goes away. And like the replacement sucks, so that's fine. If it wasn't so awkward with 2 of them on board, I think would have been a very good card. But like them being on different tiers is gonna make it super awkward, I think. But yeah. Good riddance to Theo. He lived a good life.
He'll be back.
No, he won't be back.
You don't think so?
No, he's too good of a card.
That's fair. Any other notable removals from the pool?
Let me think. Is there anything else notable that got removed? I can't think of it offhand. But I don't think there's anything else notable, at least from first glance. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess I gotta take a look at the actual.
No, that's fine.
patch.
I mean, I'm not seeing anything particular either off that jumps.
Yeah, they had a list of what was removed in the other patch notes that came out today, so I did a quick glance to see anything I forgot about after I scrolled through these 56 minutes that got deleted.
Yep.
Minions removed. Ball, Arm, Pen Pal, Tea Master, Friend of a Friend, Alley Cat, Cave Hydra, Bird Buddy, Waldron, Doomsayer, Kathy, Piggyback Imp, Juggler got removed. That's a pretty big one.
Oh, yeah.
An old classic. Soul Juggler, Big Fernal, Voidlord were removed. Those were old classics. Swolfin, Falfin, Slinger got removed. Oh, Party Elemental got removed. That's like an old classic as well.
Seafood Slinger's a pretty big one to get removed.
Yeah, it was gone before though and came back and then got removed again. I mean, the card is probably just too good. Like it'd be able to just like give you another like a reroll on your triple if you miss it, as well as be able to like turn balls golden or Magma Lux golden and buy them with just like I think it's just too strong. Let's see what else got removed. Liza, we talked about. Witch Doctor, Banshee, yeah, nothing else. Tavern Tipper Garment, that's the only other one that got really removed. I think that's it for stuff that got removed. I think everything else was.
All right. Any thoughts on the new hero? Rockmaster Boone.
I think it sucks. From my first read, it's probably gonna be bad. Like it's very slow. Like 3 turns, you have to have a card in your hand to get a copy of it. It seems very, very, very slow. So it's probably gonna be terrible. Like most of the time, you're gonna be like without a hero power. You're definitely gonna be without a hero power for the first activation, which is turn 3, and then you probably not without a hero power on turn 6 because you're gonna be, like take too much damage by like holding a card in your hand on the last turn. So you're probably gonna be out of a hero power then. So maybe triggered on turn 9. I don't know. Seems pretty slow. Like you get a pair on turn 6 by holding whatever card you want to hold, but it seems like you'll take like a bunch of extra damage for it. So it doesn't seem very, very exciting. I just think it seems bad.
That's
the change to Lich Bass is kind of interesting though. We didn't see it. 1 cost hero power, steal a minion Bob's Tavern, take damage equal to his tavern tier, as opposed to the old hero power, which is 0 gold, take 4 damage, gain 2 gold. I think this is going to be pretty good. It's not going to be obviously as good as the old hero power, which allowed you to power level early, and then blow people out in the mid game, which was always super annoying when you face like Lich Baz on turn 5 or 6, 7. Well, I think this is just like very cheap minions for 1 and like very little damage. So I think this hero will be very good again.
Yeah, nice. It'll make it. You can probably so you could have 3 minions on turn 2 pretty easily. So.
Yeah, I think you're going to be playing curve like a Reform curve a lot with this hero, and just buying extra minions to take a little bit extra damage each turn, like set up triples and stuff. I think it's going to be very good.
So I'm just go back to Voon. I think the only viable strat with him would probably be when you're playing Murlocs, right? Because you're going to want to have things in your hand for that.
Yes, but I think the Murlocs will take a while to get set up for you to have things in your hand. All the good things in your hand ones are like tier 4 or above, and you won't necessarily have them by turn 6. Right? So like essentially you won't have a hero power for like the first 9 turns of the game. Maybe you get 1 activation on turn 6, but still like not very exciting. Like 5 turns of no hero power to get a copy of 1 card in your hand seems very, very dull and very unexciting.
Yeah. Is Magalock still a strategy? Is that still going to be a good strategy, or is that kind of gone with the kind of change to economy?
I think Magmalock will still be a good card. I think it'll always be a good card, just like because you always just want to like cycle a bunch of minions and have your minion grow along with you while you're doing that. Same with the tier 4 pirate guy that whenever you gain a gold get plus +1 is going to be similar to Magmalock, except you have to have it on board like the whole time. You can't just like end on it like you can with Magmalock. but I think they'll both be okay. Like Magma Lock's obviously better because you can end on it for the first turn, but I don't know. I think Magma Lock and that guy will both be decent strategies at least. Like it won't be like your carry for the whole game, but it'll definitely be like a good card in your warband.
Fair enough. Anybody have any final thoughts on any of these cards or the changes?
I do like that Voon's hero power is his microphone, but it's the bottom of his axe. And so if he has to fight, he just flips it around. So he can either sing at you or he can attack you.
It's definitely a good plan. I like it. There was that was one of the changes. Oh, Shudderwalk no longer banned in Beasts. N'Zoth no longer banned in lobbies at all. Mutanus now is banned in Naga lobbies. That's kind of because of probably because of the scaling of the blood gems there.
Not the blood, the spellcraft. Like the Mutinous and Vol'jin now banned in Naga lobbies make them pretty bad heroes. Like the reason Vol'jin and Mutinous were good prior is because of Nagas. Like you'd probably only want to pick them in Naga lobbies, and now they're banning it, and now they're just going to be like bad heroes in general. I think.
Well, some of them have to be bad, right?
I mean, the problem is there's too many of them that are bad, and not enough that are actually good. Like if you look at I think there's something like 90 heroes, and like most people probably consider like 10 heroes to be good, 20 to be mediocre, and then like 60 that are just like bad. So like it's kind of a very big disparity. And this goes from like being good heroes to going into the bad category.
Does the armor help with that though? The changes to the armor that they've made?
Not really. Especially now when there's no more like quests or like buddies to kind of help you take advantage of your armor. Like, and the tier leveling tier 5 is still costing 11. That's not being reverted back to 9. Like. Extra armor, it doesn't really do much when your hero power sucks. Like, it may let you survive an additional turn, but it's still just going to be bad overall, I think.
Do we still only have 30 health with this patch?
Yeah, it's still 30 health plus armor. They just want to be able to fluctuate between 30 and 50 as opposed to being hard set up, the floor being 40.
Yeah.
It really didn't make that much of a difference, at least in my mind. It's a little hard visually because you're used to seeing how much health people have on the side to have like a rough estimation of how much health they have, but like everyone still starts at the same health total they would have started at when we were at 40. Just a kind of like a mental barrier for whether or not when you see 30 plus 10 as opposed to seeing 40, it just feels different. You feel like you're much lower when all of a sudden you're at 25. You're like, oh no, oh no.
I don't know about you, Doc, but I'm kind of full. I think I might have a little room for dessert.
Okay. So listeners, if you didn't know, leaving a review and giving feedback is a great way to help and support any podcast you listen to. Granted, we're biased. We only really want the good ones. But we'll take any of them. But if you leave us a 5-star review, we'll read it out on the show. You can email the show at breadandbutter, hs@gmail.com. And we'll read that on the show as well. But whether you like what we're doing or you dislike what we're doing, please feel free to leave a review. Let us know what you think. And Terry, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, TerryTgaming, or on Twitch, Terry_Tsang_gaming, probably like the longest name anyone has on Twitch. Well, those are where I'm mainly at. Or I host tournaments on my tournament site, hsbgclub.com. We host a bunch of events. We host 4 to 5 events for just the club as well as community events every week. So it seems like there's probably like 6 tournaments a week on our site. A few are free, some are membership, which is only $5 a month. But they're all just like a fun place to kind of hang out and meet people and socialize and shit on each other, the usual getting together with the guys sort of thing.
For less than a cup of coffee once a week, you too can do BG Club.
Less than a cup of coffee a month. It's only $5 per month. Coffees nowadays are $5 or $6, man. You must not go to Starbucks, sir.
Sometimes, but not usually. Doc, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at DocMcButt. And Tito, where can they find you?
You can find me at Tito Santana HS on both Twitter and Twitch. Terry, is there anybody you'd like to shout out this week?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you very much. I don't think there's anyone I need to shout out this week.
Fair enough. Doc, how about yourself?
I'll shout out my brother again this week. So they had there was like this surprise award that they got. They won an impact award for the documentary that him and his friend filmed in South Korea. They also won a humanitarian award 2 days later at the end of the year film screening. And y'all, here's a suggestion for you. If you live near or in a college town, find out if they have a film department. If they do, around the end of the semester, if they're like the university that's in my town, they'll have a screening of all the student films from like beginner, like the freshman, and all the way up to the senior capstones. Some of them are not great because they're beginner and intermediate, but man, just watching how some people can like think of concepts and put in all the work to make a short film, like of any genre. Like there's so much work that goes into that, and it's cool because eventually there's the potential of whoever you see could be like the next Quentin Tarantino or like the next Christopher Nolan. There's just so much talent out there, and generally those screenings are free. So find out if your university, college town has a film program. If they do, try to find out if they have a screening, because you're missing out on some wonderful shorts if they do. And Tito, how about yourself?
Well, I'd like to shout out to Wicked Good and Edelweiss and everyone else who has to now fill the enormous gap that Ridiculous Hat is leaving behind in the podcast space, because they have a job ahead of them. And I don't envy that. But we look forward to hearing what they come up with, and moving forward, I know we'll all still be listening. Terry, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
No problem.
And
Happy to come on.
I'm sure we'll talk to you next time around when there's new battlegrounds changes and they reintroduce Quest and Buddies at the same time and everybody loses their mind. But anyway, I think that's it for us. I think we're toast. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.